Hi, so this is Nina and Patty from Flybaby Foals. You've probably seen some of our lives on TikTok with Patty and the new foals that she has this year here at Basie Farms. And I thought that it would be a good idea to talk with everybody a little bit about Patty's background and how we became friends and just any of the common questions that we've been getting. So, Patty, first of all, when did you start riding?
Oh, I started riding on a Shetland pony as as a 4-year-old was my first pony. And before that, we were at the base stables. My dad was in the Marine Corps, and we just had horses around, and they were great. They were to get on, ride through the desert, and that's how I started my love for horses.
So, at that time, you were in California the whole time that you were growing up, or?
For the horse part, yeah. I actually first started riding in Camp Lejeune as a 2-year-old, but like ponying around on the top of a horse. Yeah. I had always taken thoroughbreds off the racetrack, so that was how I paid my way through college. And at the time, that was quite a good medium for making your way. They turned in some good hunters, some good jumpers, all fairly low level, but I really enjoyed doing that. I like taking young horses, and I like allowing them to find out where their best goal is. So the rehomed racehorses were very special to me. So after I ended up with a mare that my sister had bought out of Argentina, and she did the speed derbies down there, which means she was very, very fast. Chestnut mare, and held the chestnut mare stereotype. She was a little stressy. But we looked at her, and she's the first one that I bred, and I bred her to Capone, who I have bred again to about 10 years later. And I actually developed that one to Grand Prix level as well. That was my very first one. However, he colicked and had to be put down, so that was really a shame. So he never really got to compete, but he was the horse I showed my very first ever meter 45 on.
Wow. We were selling some horses. I had worked for a breeder in Kansas before moving out here to Washington State, and she was sending some young horses out to me, and they were Holsteiners, so a lot of them were better suited for the jumper or hunter ring than the dressage ring. At the time, I was a dressage rider. The first horse that you bought that we kind of had seen together or worked with together was Ravana. And so tell me a little bit about Ravana, and why did she become a horse that you wanted to own?
That was a really special time. Stacy had sent 2 horses out to us, both 3-year-olds at the time, so unstarted. And the one was a nice big mare, and she was calm, cool, collected, really easy to be around. Ravana was not. Ravana was on the small side at about 15-1 at the time, and quick as a cat. And when we free jumped them, which is the first step to seeing can they jump, and we didn't make it very difficult, but you just want to see, does their front end pick up right, does their hind end pick up right, do they have any bascule. It's a very simple exercise. We don't do it nearly like they do with the approvals where they're chasing them through and everything else. We do it in an open arena and see if they really want to jump.
Next year, you're going to have hopefully a couple babies being born. So tell us a little bit about the babies or the breedings that are going on right now.
Well, we got a really nice chestnut thoroughbred mare in Halo who had a sporting career. She was a racehorse, and I do not believe she retired injured. She just retired, and she is 6, and she is carrying a full sibling to Lovey. So the owner decided that she was bred before Lovey hit the ground. So They took it on faith that this was a combination they wanted to repeat. And one of the reasons they wanted to repeat it was to see the nature versus nurture and see what are the traits of the mare dominant, or are the traits of the stallion dominant? What are these 2 siblings going to have in common? It would be really interesting to see if we have a colt versus the filly, how that changes a little bit. I found the same thing too in my breeding program, which is that most of my horses, 3 of them have a grandsire of Diamante Simile. So I bred Sophie, who is the mother of Odie and Ezio, bred her back to Diamante Simile, who is the grandfather of 3 of my other horses, and wanted to see what I could get. I actually sold that one in full, and I don't have a great update yet. I've been trying to contact her because with the other 2 horses now reaching the pinnacle of the sport, I have to wonder, how cool is that one?
Oh.
You know, so my eyes light up, and I think I love thinking about the possibilities. So I think that's part of why Halo is carrying the full sibling to Lovey. And then Princess is going to be bred, and Princess is going to be bred to a horse by the name of Untouched. And that is Frozen Seaman is coming. He was standing in Europe. He is the grandsire of one of the top horses currently, and he has produced many, many approved sons, horses that have jumped to 1.40 meters, 1.60. The person who's breeding him, Michelle, her desire is to have a horse that she can develop, and she's fine with whatever level it ends up at. So she's a person after my own heart. I was able to consult and to lead her through what the process looks like, educate her. How do you pick semen? How do you ship the semen? How do you find a vet? What do you do about the timing? How do you need to get them there? So there's a lot of the logistical issues that some people find very overwhelming. And as I said, particularly we have a boarder involved here, and we have frozen semen involved. So we're also getting to the very end of the breeding season. If we have a baby that she's supposed to be bred on Monday or Tuesdays, that puts us right at the end of July. Chances are that baby is going to be born the first week of July, and that sounds fine to everybody else, doesn't it? Well, horses are aged starting as of January 1st of the year they're in. So if you want to do the young horse stuff, which, as I said, it's always fun to do, but it shouldn't be a set goal. If the horse is capable of doing it, if they're around, it's a great education. It's a great introduction to where we want these future horses to be, but they're not suited for every horse. Having said that, if you have a horse born in July, that does put them at a disadvantage in their 4-year-old year. So they'll catch up at a certain point. We also don't like the horses born too early in the year up here, given our weather. It's not conducive, and you don't want the foal getting cold, getting sick, getting pneumonia. They have, a lot of the same frailties as humans do.
Yeah. Plus, with as wet as our fields get, turnout in January, February, March can be pretty slippery.
Which brings up a very good point. There has been a lot of research done about the soundness of the horses and why, as young horses, they need to be able to move around. So oftentimes in many farms, and I hope to be able to go to Europe and show you guys some of these, is that they'll feedlot the horses. So in the winter, they have to stand and be stalled because the winters are so bad. Here I have a particularly good setup. I have about a 3-acre field that has some up and down and rolling hills, and they've proven that the research has shown, I guess I should say, the research has shown that being able to have these babies from the minute that they're born to that 6 to 8 month old time, being able to run around and to play and to go up hills and down hills is so beneficial to their long-term health and soundness. So, knock on wood, Odie has never been lame. Ezio has never been lame. I've also now at, I believe, 10 horses that I bred, and 60% of them have gone on to jump 1.40 meters plus.